Yo, what's up guys, Strokefish here, and today we're going to be going over our draft analysis for Season 2 of the Kraken Cup. Now, Kraken Cup is going to be a league that I joined, kind of like joined / invited to, as in I knew the owner of it. We've been known each other for a while, because Kraken Nation, Akeem, we've known each other for a while. We've been in a lot of leagues together, so I ended up joining this one. Season 1, I didn't really have the time to do it, but I figured I have a little bit more free time, so I can definitely get around to doing that. So I'll go into a little background. The draft was I got sniped a lot. So my original team that I was going to pick ended up getting sniped a lot, so I had to kind of improvise on the spot a lot. So we'll go with that, but we'll start with the original. Or start with the first 3 picks, or 6 picks. Oh, sorry. We're gonna go into that. So first up, we have Mega Aerodactyl. So how this works is we have a Mega pick, we have 2 A picks, 2 B picks, 2 C picks, 2 D picks, and then 1 E pick, and then you get 2 bonus picks at the very end. And it's point based, so it is kind of ordered, but you also can kind of use your points in a way so that you can get like better picks at the end. And I thought I was able to pick up some pretty good picks, and I have a few funny stories to get how that works. But pretty much it was a kind of a open, kind of a randomized order. So how it works is that you have a like a order. It's not snake draft where you go reversed on the way back, and then so like maybe if I was first starting off the draft, then I would be last on the next pick, so I would be wait like so long, but then I'd be first on the round after that. So it's not like snake. It's more of like a randomized each round, and it's kind of each round is weighted differently, and it's like a weird formula, but pretty much you can trade your picks to other people for free agents, or just because you want certain things. So maybe I want to trade my A1 pick for another person's A1 pick, and in exchange I give them my like B1 pick or something. Like maybe they were like 4th in A1, but I was 1st in B1. I'm like, okay, if we swap, but I was like 10th in A1, and they were like 10th in B1, so they wanted to go up more in B1, and you wanted to go more up in A1. So pretty much it's like trading picks, like in professional sports, if that makes sense. So that being said, that out of the way, let's get into the draft. So we started off with Mega. I originally actually picked a different Mega. I got Mega Pincer originally, but I forgot that it doesn't get return anymore, so I was a little bit put off by that. So much so that I decided to actually exchange it out. It has great stats. Mega Pincer is a great mon, but I decided to exchange it out for Mega Aerodactyl. Now, why I did this was more because I felt like Mega Aerodactyl has a lot more options. It's not as strong as Pincer, but it also has Tough Claws, and it has a lot more speed combined with having Hone Claws, which I think is a great ability. It doesn't get pursued anymore, but it does have a lot of great moves. Stone Edge, flying coverage, not great flying coverage, but it's there. And then coverage moves like Earthquake, and then all the elemental fangs are pretty nice. And Roost and Stealth Rocks is amazing, and Defog as well. So it has a lot of tech options that I think Mega Pincer really just doesn't have access to. It has Stealth Rocks, but it doesn't have access to recovery or any of that. The only thing I think that it has better over Mega Aerodactyl is maybe Moxie, but it doesn't have the speed to really back it up. Though my team is pretty fast. Mega Aerodactyl is my fastest mon, and 150 is a great mon to have as your fastest Pokemon, because that's pretty much speed tying everything but like Deoxys Speed, which is allowed, Ninjask, Electrode, Megazam, which it speed ties, and what else is there? I think that's it. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything faster than 150 as a Mega. So yeah, that's Mega Aerodactyl. I think it's a pretty great mon, and I didn't have a rock type, so I was like, yeah, I don't really need a bug type. I think that's kind of a type that's a little kind of droppable. So yeah, anyway, Moving on, we have Dragapult. Now, I was 10th, and I really wanted to use some of the new mons, aka Darmanitan. I knew Darmanitan probably wouldn't make it because it's pretty amazing, and I figured someone would just want it. But I ended up getting Dragapult. I'm not as keen on it as I originally was, but I still like it. It has a lot of options in terms of being either special or physical, and having access to Dragon Dance is super fun. You don't really need to invest at all in speed because it's just that fast. Same with Mega Aerodactyl, and that's why I like having fast mons, is that you can run more bulk, not really worry about speed. Access to things like Sucker Punch, U-Turn, Will-O-Wisp, Infiltrator. 3 great abilities. Probably Infiltrator is its best one, but all 3 are viable. And that's pretty much all there is to say. Dragapult is just a pretty powerful mon, and just being as fast as it is with the typing that it has is pretty good. The only downside being Phantom Force is its best way of hitting things on the physical side in Ghost types, other than Astonish. But it does break any kind of protection, so you can't just protect with Phantom Force, so that's cool. The only way you can beat it is just going into a resist or a normal type, so that's kind of cool. That's Dragapult, though. It's fast, it has good special attack and attack, great Mex attacker. And speaking of good Mex attackers, we have Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko has great speed. It's not as good as it was before because of Electric Surge being nerfed to 1.2 times power instead of 1.3. But it's still a pretty powerful mon with its electric type moves. Has Physical Stab and a Wild Charge, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt as special moves, and then U-Turn for momentum, Roost to get reliable recovery. What else is there? Grass Knot for those pesky ground types, and then things like Brave Bird and Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam being its only fairy coverage, or good fairy coverage, I should say. Calm Mind is a good option. Defog to remove hazards. That's more of a tech option. Taunt has a lot of great tech things that it can utilize. I think people sleep on more of tech Tapu Koko and just want to run Specs or Band, but I like that it can run more of like Nature's Madness with like Volt Switch. Obviously, better Draft League players know, but you know, it's still pretty good. Hidden Power being gone is kind of a disappointment. By the way, this is Gen 8, but it is National Dex, so you can use any mon, but with the restricted moves. So like you can't use like Pursuit or something if it's not in the game. So that's Tapu Koko. Also very fast. Like my first 3 mons, the average speed between all of them is like 140 something. So that's pretty insane. So that's going to be that. But next up we have Empoleon. I needed kind of hazard setting and hazard removal. At this point, all my only hazard setter and hazard setter was Aerodactyl. My only hazard removal was Tapu Koko. So I needed a water type. I wanted something that could reliably remove hazards, and I think Empoleon does that very well. I could have gone with a more bulky water type, but I like that Empoleon is a very reliable defogger. And a lot of people sleep on offensive Empoleon. It is really good offensively, in my opinion. Even physical sets with Liquidation now, Liquidation, Knockoff, and I don't think it really gets good Steel type physical moves. Does it get like... No, it gets Metal Claw. That's pretty much it. But or Steel Wing, I guess, would be the better option. But having access to something like Stealth Rocks to set up and then Defog to get away those hazards. It has just a lot of power with its moves, so it's not really just a passive defogger that has to like switch out immediately after it's removed rocks. But it has good bulk, good special attack, and its speed is not great, but it's better than some other bulkier mons, so it's like average on that regard for a bulky type Pokemon. And of course, Torrent is really nice if you're at low, and then you just fire off a Scald, and it just does a ton of damage. So that's Empoleon. Not really too much to say there. It's just a reliable defogger that also happens to be a water type. So moving on, we have Celebi. Celebi was kind of an interesting pick because I definitely think this could be different, but at the same time, I do like it as a grass type, as a ground resist. So I didn't, again... my only ground resist, I guess you can say it's Aerodactyl because it's immune, but the only mon I have that's ground immune or resist was Aerodactyl, and now I have Celebi. So we have 2 resists, 2 weaknesses, so I like that, how it bounces out like that. And Celebi's a pretty decent mon. I was thinking about Incineroar, But I'm kind of glad I didn't get Incineroar just because I think Incineroar kind of, while it was good for Dragapult, it also kind of was counterintuitive just for the sole fact that it kind of was weak against ground, and that was kind of a problem. So I like having Celebi as just kind of one of those options. It has a lot of great coverage options like Giga Drain, Leaf Storm, can be a setup sweeper. On the physical side too, it's actually not bad physically. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not gonna say people sleep on it because it's really doesn't have that many great physical moves, but it does have things like Zen Headbutt, Seed Bomb, and any like coverage move you need. Like maybe just, I mean, I should say any coverage move, but it gets some good coverage moves like not Psycho Cut, Sucker Punch, I guess, U-Turn, and I believe it gets Sword Stance too. So great Baton Pass Pokemon, and it got access to Aura Sphere this generation, so I think that's super cool because it gives its reliable fighting coverage, and that's pretty much all there's to say about Celebi. It's just a very unique mon. Has Heal Bell, great support Pokemon. Can run a lot of different things, and obviously with being a mythical, having base 100s across the board is just super awesome. So yeah, it does a kind of it's kind of annoying because it is weak to the same thing Dragapult is weak to, but well, in terms of its ghost typing, Dark and Ghost being weak with Celebi Psychic type. But hopefully I patch it up with Umbreon, which is going to be kind of defensive glue of the team. Umbreon is super cool because it allows me to kind of just easily switch into a lot of the stuff that Dragapult does not appreciate, such as Celebi as well, and another mon that we'll see later on. So obviously more so Dragapult because bug type will kind of still be an issue for this thing, but we have things like Aerodactyl, Empoleon, Tapu Koko, so I'm not really worried about that. A lot of common weaknesses, but I also have a lot of common resistances, so I'm not super concerned about that because it's very safe for me to make those kind of plays. Umbreon does have a lot of good options in terms of support. So obviously Toxic, Wish, Foul Play, Protect, pretty standard stuff, nothing too crazy, but it also gets things like Heal Bell, which is super nice if I want to support the team in terms of not getting poisoned or not being super, just weak to certain strategies like Thunder Wave or something. So overall, not super diverse in what it can do, but it just kind of does the job I need it to. And then Synchronize is super nice for reciprocating status. So moving on to the C2 through the B2 picks. So I will say, for kind of context, I was not planning on getting Tapu Koko, but it was still available very late in A2. And so I was like, well, I mean, if no one's going to take it, I might as well pick it up because it was super free to do that. And I was actually really wanted to use Necrozma, but unfortunately my Akeem, I made some stupid drama about it because I was salty about Necrozma. Really great mon, but that's besides the point. I ended up getting Koko, and then I wanted Tapu Fini but instead of Tapu Koko, but that's why I got Tapu Koko is because Fini was not available. So taking Fini, and I think Fini was taken before Lele or Koko. No, Fini was taken right before my pick. It was right before me, and that's why I was like, oh, that sucks. And then Incineroar was taken right before I got Celebi. So I was going to pick Celebi C1. I had a wheel pick from B2 to C1, so I didn't really matter what I picked in what order, but I ended up getting Celebi instead of Incineroar. And I ended up getting my fire type later. And C2, I ended up picking Piloswine. Now, I knew that Piloswine would probably be a figment of a lot of people's draft, so I decided to pick this thing up early. I think Piloswine is pretty awesome as a Pokemon. Gives me rocks, gives me freeze dry and ice coverage, but especially just being a bulky ice and ground type that just has it's just one of the better defensive ice types, I think. And being able to hit things with ice coverage is super nice in Draft League, so obviously I like having an ice type. Just kind of one of those types I figure though people skip out on a lot, I used to do it. I used to kind of get crappy ice types. Not that Piloswine is the best, but I think it's definitely pretty good for where it's at. Overall, though, I think it's a super solid Pokemon, having pretty good attack, pretty good HP, and with Eviolite has pretty solid defenses. So that's pretty much all there is to say about Piloswine. It's like mini Mamoswine and provides the ground typing that I think my team needed pretty desperately. So, moving on, we have Torkoal. Now, Torkoal is really cool because it gives me Drought. So its fire type moves are powered up, though I may have some trouble with that in Empoleon. But it does also boost the fire type, or the fire moves of Dragapult. So I think Fire Blast could potentially be annoying for opponents if they have a Steel type. That's supposed to be good against Dragapult, but Fire Blast is like good against them. Maybe they can live one, but with Sun they can't. So I think that's cool. Torkoal has really good defense, and I think Body Press is something that's a lot of people sleep on. So it uses defense in the calculation. So it's kind of like Foul Play, except with defense. So that's cool because it does a pretty high defense. And then its special attack is pretty powerful too. So yeah, or I mean for what, having Drought and not being terrible. So Lava Plume, cool. It gets both Rapid Spin and Stealth Rock, so that's super cool. And gets Solar Beam. I don't know where it is, but it gets Solar Beam. And what else what do you got here? We got Shell Smash. Not that it's super important, but it just has a lot of cool options, and I really like Torkoal for where it's at. Though it is only 4 points, and it's more for like Sun offense. I didn't really draft a Sun team. I just kind of got options if I want to use it. But Torkoal is there. There's really not that many great Sun abusers, except one, which was Venusaur. But unfortunately, my boy James Sanity, Skull Bunny, VGC, ended up taking Venusaur like right before it. So I ended up getting Vileplume. And I'm actually kind of glad I got Vileplume because it is a actually good Mon outside of Sun, whereas Venusaur is kind of meh outside of Sun. So we got Vileplume. It has more power than Venusaur, and I'm kind of glad that I picked it up because though it's slower, it's also still pretty fast and actually hits at speeds here. I was kind of lacking. It's kind of in between that 142 range. So it outspeeds the 145, I guess, if that's even a Pokemon in there. So a lot of Scarfers are outsped by this, and if it's not timid, then it's like right below 400. So the kind of that 135 speed tier. It's a little bit less than that, but that's all right. Can't outspeed Megalop, being modest, which is kind of annoying, but that's only one team has Megalop, so that's okay. But either way, Chlorophyll is good if I want to abuse Sun, and if I don't want to abuse Sun, I can always run Effect Spore with a Strength Sap, defensive set, or even offensive set. Just maybe it's just not Sun abused. So Vileplume can abuse the Sun pretty well, and it actually has Nature Power. So if we, I don't even know, does Torkoal get Nature? It does get Nature Power. So I think that there could be some cool tech options with running Nature Power alongside Tapu Koko. So that could be kind of cool, but we'll see. It's not going to be insanely powerful by any means, but, you know, for being a E-tier Mon, it was pretty awesome to have. So that's Vileplume. We already have a Grass type, but I didn't have a Poison type, so it can also be a good Fairy check if I need it. So moving on to the last pick before bonus, we have Passimian. Now, Passimian was actually E-tier, but it probably should be higher. It's not going to be the best fighting type, but it's pretty solid. I'd say it's probably like low C-tier fighting type, which I think it was probably the best value for my buck in E-tier. There were things like Girder and Throw. I was considering Girder, but I realized Passimian is there, and considering Venusaur already hit the 80 speed tier, I didn't actually have an 80 speed tier Pokemon anymore, so I kind of wanted that. It's kind of unfortunate that I don't have a 70 base speed tier Pokemon, but that's all good because Passimian fits that 80 base range, and it has a viable ability now in Defiant, and it has really good coverage. Dunk Shot, Close Combat, Knockoff, Earthquake, Seed Bomb, U-Turn. It even has Taunt, Iron Head, Drain Punch for recovery. Gets a lot. It's not really there to do anything besides just attacking, but it's pretty powerful. 120 base power is like the same as like a Hitmonlee with not Reckless. So you can run Band, you can run Life Orb, you can run Scarf, you can run like maybe an Extra Belt. It has a lot of options in terms of just hitting hard with fighting types, and I definitely needed a fighting type. Probably not great that the fighting type is low tier, but I think just for the value that I'd had, I'm really happy with it. So I'm excited to use Passimian, and I think it will be cool, especially against Intimidate teams. With Defiant, it's not really great against like Orlando T, but oh well. But yeah, it's just a cool mon. Wish it was less bulky and just had more in attack, but to each his own. So the final two picks, we got the busted Deoxys defense. Yes. So Deoxys defense, while it does kind of fall short to like status, this thing is an absolute godsend in my opinion. It was 9 points, which is like low A tier. So for this thing to be so absurdly bulky and fast, it's pretty fast for what it is, base 90. And I didn't have a base 90 yet, though we will come up on the last one being base 90. It has pressure, so it can PP stall. That's an option. I mean, not that I have a super bulky team, but I think with combination of Umbreon and Deoxys and Empoleon, that will be kind of annoying to deal with. Or Torkoal, having that option. And then it has so many, like, we know what Deoxys gets. Calm Mind, maybe not because it's not super seen super heavily outside of Ubers. Even in Ubers, it's not super common anymore, or it wasn't super common in Gen 7. It gets all the fire cover, it gets all the elemental punches, gets Ice Beam, but not Fire Blast, which is kind of annoying, but Focus Blast, Extreme Speed for priority, I guess, if you want to run with 70 base attack. Dark Pulse, what else do we get? Obviously, it gets Agility, which I think is cool for this thing. Calm Mind as well, and unfortunately it doesn't get Stored Power, but that's all good. And then it has Hazard Stack, which is the main reason why I chose it, besides being super bulky. Recover, obviously for reliable recovery. Nightshade for just straight up damage. And then Magic Coat to bounce back, all that stuff. And then just coverage out the wazoo to deal with it. And it even gets Teleport now, or it can utilize Teleport now, because Teleport is now Momentum. And I want to mention that because Teleport is super cool in this generation. And I think that combined with Trick Room, we have some stuff going on. Like, some things can happen in Trick Room. Not that I have a super slow team, but, we can potentially do some stuff with that. So, moving on. We have Thunder Wave. Just a lot of, as I said, a lot of coverage moves. Does it get Earthquake? It doesn't. But it gets Stomping Tantrum. So, that's a thing. So, just pretty much every coverage move in the book is under Deoxys's wing. And though it's not the most powerful, it's kind of like Claydol, but like way more bulky and like way better, because Claydol is like kind of bad. But, it's like better Claydol. Actually, what are Claydol stats? It's like close to Claydol. Like slightly faster, but like better. So, yeah, that's Deoxys. And also Claydol doesn't get reliable recovery and recover. So, that's Deoxys. And finally, we have Porygon Z, which I think I needed a normal type. And I'm going to be honest, I was really scummy in terms of what I did to get this thing. So, as I said before, you can trade draft spots. And I ended up trading this guy named Pokeboy for his bonus 1 pick. So, I was able to get a Deoxys pretty early on in bonus 1. So, that was super cool because it meant that no one else could take it. So, that was super cool. And then in bonus 2, which is the second round of bonus, I was also high up because I just had a good bonus 2. Now, in the end of bonus 1, the guy that came with his, the last person in that round accidentally chose 2 Pokemon when he only had 1, because of how the draft works. It's not Snake, so it's not like a wheel pick. So I realized he was 3rd and Pokeboy was 2nd. So what I had to do was I had to trade Pokeboy for his 2nd draft pick in that round so that I could take Porygon Z, because the person that had the wheel pick accidentally poked both picks, and one of them was Porygon Z, but he ended up choosing his other Pokemon, Salamence, first. And so he waited to get Porygon Z, and that was what allowed me to trade Pokeboy to get Porygon Z. If that makes sense. That was a lot, but that's pretty much what happened. So Porygon Z is a very solid Pokemon. I needed really a special breaker, because obviously I can't just run a special Tapu Koko and a special Dragapult every week, because that would be kind of obvious. So I wanted just a dedicated special breaker to have on the team, and I think Porygon Z is an amazing special breaker. It's not the best speed, but it can be choice scarf, it can be choice specs, download, analytic, both of them amazing abilities. It also gets trick room, so that's an option. And it gets teleport too, so it gets momentum in that. And it gets things like Thunderbolt, great coverage, Shadow Ball, Psychic, Ice Beam. Excuse me. Whoa. Nasty Plot. What else does it get? Tri-Attack as normal type coverage, and then Dark Pulse. Unfortunately, Z conversion is no longer a thing. But it has agility, has Nasty Plot, has a lot of great options, and in general for a normal type, we kind of needed one because, you know, Ghost was kind of an annoying type versus my team, so I wanted to have just kind of a reliable switch in, because obviously it's not the most bulky, but, you know, as a mon that gets recover, so it's not just dead in the water if it gets hit by an attack that's not Ghost. So that's super cool. So that's going to be Porygon Z. I think this Pokemon is going to serve well this season. Kind of feel bad that I took it from someone else, but I also needed it for my team, and, you know, my priorities, unfortunately, come before those that also have priorities. That makes sense. But yeah, man, that's going to be my draft. So, it's not the best draft in the world, but I definitely enjoy using almost every single mon on this team. I think there's really no mon that I just don't enjoy using or haven't used before. I mean, there's some mons like Deoxys Defense that I've just never really used before. So we'll see how that works out. I'm really excited to start this. And with that being said, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And that's going to be all for this. So I'll see you guys when the season starts. Chicago Bewears, baby.